Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM as well and across the world at 3news.com. My name is Beatrice and we'll be bringing you the headlines very shortly in the next 1.5 hours. But let's go now to the presidency where President Mahama has just finished swearing in about 17 ministers who approved and he's speaking. Let's take a listen to what he's saying.
How you conduct yourselves will either reflect positively or negatively on this government, and I expect that you will dig deep into your reserves to meet the expectations of our people. In addition, I've just sworn in 9 sector ministers whose performance will be key to the success of this government and the rapid development of our country. The Honorable Kwabena Minta Akando goes to the Ministry of Health. It will be your duty to supervise a health sector that is plagued by numerous complex challenges with regards to personnel and health facilities, but also in dealing with any possible pandemics like COVID-19, which can disrupt our very existence if they break out again. You therefore have the task of proofing all Ghanaians against effects of such disease and ensuring that our health system is robust and resilient to withstand such crisis. As Foreign Minister, Honorable Okuchetua Blakwa, you will have to bring the same dynamism and commendable work ethic for which you are known to navigating the complex maze of international diplomacy in a fast-shifting geopolitical environment. I have every intention of taking you up on your word regarding economic diplomacy, which will be crucial to repairing our reputation as a nation following the disastrous economic crisis that led to a loss of confidence in our economy by the international investment community. With climate change becoming an ever-pressing issue, I look forward that you, Honorable Alhaji Baba Isifu Seidu, will bring your wealth of experience and exposure to bear on our efforts as a country to contribute to the global efforts to combat it. I've made drastic changes to government information dissemination machinery, and I've picked you, Honorable Felix Kwakye Ofosu, to lead the effort as Minister of State for Government Communications to modernize and sharpen how this government interacts and interfaces with the Ghanaian people. Honorable Rashid Hassan Pelpo, you come into office at a time when we have inherited the worst unemployment situation in our country's history, with millions of Ghanaian youth despairing over the frustration of not being able to find a job. It will be your mandate to work with stakeholders to turn this situation around and also foster a harmonious labor-government relationship. To Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed as Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, you will have the unenviable task of safeguarding Ghana's environment, which has been in great peril from the activities of Galamsey and other environmental terrorism. You also have the responsibility of promoting Ghanaian technology and making it competitive. Ghana's communication sector has seen incremental growth over the last few decades, and you, Honorable Samuel Nate Jata George, the Honorable Minister for Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, you will be expected not only to continue this growth trajectory, but to create policies that expand the frontiers of the sector and place Ghana at the forefront of the global telecommunications space. The Honorable Kofi Idi Adams, Minister for Sports and Recreation, I don't envy your job. You have the monumental task of restoring Ghana to its pride of place in African and world sports. The shambles that is Ghana sports today is completely unacceptable for a country with our pedigree, and I expect that you inject transparency, professionalism, and modernity into the management of the sector. I expect that you will concentrate on building up all the sports disciplines. And I know the Ghana Football Association would be a good place to start, to work to make sure that we return Black Stars to its glory days. And finally, with Honorable Joseph Bukari Nipe, Minister for Transport, you are charged with the task of building on past progress in the transport sector to guarantee swift movement of people and goods through a modernized rail, aviation, and marine transport. I have no doubt that all of you are poised to work tirelessly to improve the lot of Ghanaians in your respective sector based on your experience and your competence. I must, however, remind you of the same caution I sounded to your colleagues who have already taken office, that the hallmark of this government will be modesty and respect for the Ghanaian people. There will be no room for arrogance and pomposity in this government. The resources that you'll be working with belong to the Ghanaian people who put us in office. Those resources are not to be wasted on opulence and extravagance. I've asked the Chief of Staff to write to all government appointees that I've imposed a ban on non-essential travel forthwith to cut down expenditure. Any travel that is deemed essential and necessary must be cleared first with the Office of the Chief of Staff. And such travels will have to be undertaken in modesty, no first class. Also, all traces of affluence and lavish lifestyle are to be avoided. The people of Ghana are enduring difficult times occasioned by hardships resulting from the economic mismanagement of the last 8 years. And ours is to work to lift them out of this hole, not to compound it further. On Monday, I'll be receiving the report of the committee I set up to prepare the way for the implementation of Operation Recover All the Loot, oral. Upon receipt of this report, appropriate action will be taken against those who are deemed to have acted against the economic and financial interests of this country through corruption and related acts. While it is all well and good to hold past office holders accountable for their actions, it is even better to prevent the incidence of corruption in the first place. And as I've already indicated many times, I'll be holding all my appointees in this government to the strictest standards of accountability to ensure that the mandate and resources entrusted to us by the people of Ghana go only into working for them and improving their standards of living. Let me take this opportunity to remind you all that in the coming days, as promised in our 120-day plan, I'll be outdooring a code of conduct and standards for all government officials to guide the conduct of all our appointees. This will leave you no doubt about what you can do and what you cannot do while serving in public office. You must make this code of conduct your guide and keep it like a Bible by your bedside before you take any action. I made a solemn pledge in our Resetting Ghana manifesto to lead by example and to serve with dedication, selflessness, and deep love for country. I intend to fully keep that pledge to the people of Ghana. And my biblical instruction. Therefore, as ye go forth into your new roles, remember once again that our ministry as a government is not to dispossess the people we govern of their dignity, their livelihoods and opportunities. Ours is rather a duty to reset our country and ensure the equitable distribution of the gains of progress and prosperity to all. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Thank you.
And you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. You just heard President John Mahama giving his words after swearing in 17 ministers of state. I'll tell you a bit of what he has been saying for the last few minutes. But these 17 ministers of state who have been sworn in today include the health minister. The president actually highlighted about 9 ministries he said are very essential or critical for this government, and went ahead to mention them, so I'll repeat them to you. Health Minister Kwabena Minta Akando. He was sworn in a while ago. Sports Minister Kofi Adams, also sworn in a while ago. Foreign Affairs Minister, who is currently the chair of the Operation Recover or Loot, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. Also, the Minister of State for Government Communications, Felix Kwachi Ofosu. Employment Minister Rashid Purpo, he was also sworn in some minutes ago. Environment, Science, Technology Minister Murtala Mohammed as well. Communications Minister Sam Jata George, as you heard the president mention that Jata nickname. The president went on also to mention the transport ministry as well. But let me bring you some of the things he said after swearing them in, saying that he had no doubts that they would perform well for Ghana, and reminded them that the hallmark for this government will be that the government appointees will live with modesty and have respect for the Ghanaian people. There will be no disrespect, no opulence. And he also said that he's imposed a ban on non-essential travels. Again, he emphasized that by saying that all travels must be cleared first with the chief of staff. And another emphasis on no first class because of the current state of the economy and how the Ghanaian people, in his words, are enjoying a lot of things. He also mentioned that indeed on Monday he will be receiving the report from the Operation Recover or Loot team, which is chaired by Samuel Okujeta Ablakwa. Members also including former Auditor General as well as Daniel Domelevo, as well as a former Regional Commander for Ashanti Region for the Police Service, ACP Kofi Boache. The president talked about the fact that in addition to prosecuting those who may be found guilty in the previous administration based on the work of the oral team, he thought that it's even better to prevent the incident of corruption from happening. He added that there will be stricter standards of accountability for all government appointees. Code of conduct will be launched for all government officials, and those code of conduct should be seen, or that document, as it were, should be seen as a guide and Bible, which is supposed to be by the bedside. And that the duty of the NDC government, as we have now, is rather a duty to reset Ghana for the prosperity of all. We're going back to the presidency to take the acceptance speeches currently happening. And we'll be doing that very shortly. But let's bring you some other headlines we have for you in the next 1 hour, 15 minutes. Attorney General discontinue case against Democracy Hub protesters and other high-profile cases, including the prosecution of Alhaji Collins Dauda in the infamous Saglemi housing saga. Also, more confusion rocks ongoing probe into vetting chaos as the minority announces another recusal from the committee, alleging bias and demanding a reconstitution of the committee. The chairman of the committee has hit back strongly, accusing his colleagues of being two-faced.
I am surprised because he was here with us. You met him on the first day, you saw him on the first day. So I don't know where that accusation of biasness comes from. So.
We have the details as the committee rise to the leadership of the MPP caucus demanding appearance of members also tonight. We'll be bringing you more from the presidency regarding the swearing in of the 17 ministers, plus some analysis. Don't go away. Let's bring you the details now. The Attorney General has filed a noli prosequi officially discontinuing the case against Democracy Hub protesters, including Oliver Bakavamao, Ama Governor, and several others. The protesters had been arrested and charged following a demonstration against inaction by the government against the growing illegal mining menace and the worsening economic conditions, but were later granted bail. The legal proceedings had sparked public debate, with many advocating or asking for the release of the protesters. The AG's decision to drop the charges brings an end to the case, allowing all accused individuals to walk free. The Attorney General has also dropped charges against former Works and Housing Minister Alhaji Collins Dauda and 4 others charged for causing financial loss to the state in the infamous Saglami housing project. Again, the AG has dropped charges against Ernest Thompson, former MD of SNIT. Let's bring you the details of that and perhaps a little bit of a background to this. Lord Edwasare is our court correspondent who followed all of these cases for us. First of all, Lord, just bring us as it were, background really of the Democracy Hub. We're talking about 3 cases here: Democracy Hub, Collins Dauda, as well as Ernest Thompson. So let's start from the Democracy Hub protesters. How did you get here?
Right. So Beatrice, you know that the Democracy Hub protesters case, it included Oliver Bakavamo, Felicity Nelson, Ama Governor, Raphael Williams, and a host of others. Now, prior to today, the states had discontinued about 21 cases. So 21 of them had already been discharged. You recall that about a little over 50, about 54 of them were arrested, and so the charges were proffered against these. Now, during the course of the case, the prosecution realized that, or they noted that they didn't have enough evidence to continue with the case of the 21. Okay, and so this was last year between October and then December. So prior to today, these were the ones that the case had been discharged against. Now, with the remaining 33, the Attorney General's office discontinued the case today. The prosecutors in charge of it filed a nollie prosequi on behalf of the Attorney General, Dominic Aine. And I need to bring this to the fore that the case was started by the Akrofi administration. And so it was Godfred Yeboah-Dame who was actually prosecuting this case. And so with the 21 discontinuing, now that this has happened, the remaining 33 were also discharged. And at the last time I was in court, really, the lead convener for Democracy Hub, Oliver Bakavamao, he appealed to the president to discontinue or drop the charges against he and his comrades, basically saying that the case, according to him, felt was really uncalled for, because some of them were really arrested for practicing their civil rights, as it were. And so he cited the fact that the President Mahama, then the candidates, promised that once he's voted into power, it will be one of the first things that he would make sure that he will do. And so that was what we saw today, Dominic Aine discontinuing the case. Now, with the case of Dr. Ernest Thompson and then the others in the case, just in December, right, December 4th to be precise, one person had been discharged. Her name, Juliet Hassana Kramer. She was the chief executive officer of Perfect Business System and had been cited in the SNITS OBS scandal. She was discharged because on the December 4th...
And in summary, for those who didn't follow the OBS scandal, can you tell us in summary what it was about?
Right, so the charges basically was that a number of the people in the suits, right, one of them was saying that he got his position using falsified court documents, and then they defrauded the state by false pretenses. And this case was being heard by Justice Henry Kofi, okay? And there were, in total, 4 of them, including Dr. Ernest Thompson. So in December, Juliet Hassana was discharged because the state closed their case, and so their lawyers filed a submission of no case. And during the ruling of the submission of no case, it came to bear that Juliet really didn't have much on her, so they made her go and was left with Dr. Ernest Thompson, and then the 3 others. I'm just going to get the court documents to run you through.
But let me also say that if you're monitoring us, you'll find these documents as well on 3news.com,
Indeed,
where you have details of the court documents.
Right, and so it was Dr. Ernest Thompson, John Hagan Mensah, and Peter Haibo. There was another person, Caleb Afaglo. He, as it stands now, is the only person who is still facing the charges after the state dropped the charges against these 3.
Now let's go briefly to Collins Dauda in that infamous Saglemi housing project.
Yeah, that was a financial loss to the state case, about $200 million in the Saglemi housing project case. That also had the former Works and Housing Minister and then 4 others. Along the line, one of the accused person passed. And so the states or the Attorney General discontinued the case, as we have been told today. And so as it stands now, they've all been made to walk, or they are now free. Means that they've been acquitted and discharged. All these cases, we need to know that were started by the Akufo-Addo administration,
led by Dr.
the Attorney General
Godfrey Yeboah. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lord Odrosari, for bringing us details of these court cases that have been discontinued by the current Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Aine. Let's speak to Felicity Nelson. She's one of the members of Democracy Hub who was equally arrested during that protest, slapped with several charges, including unlawful assembly and destruction of public property. Good evening to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You must be relieved by the news coming through today.
I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings. I don't know how I'm feeling, to be honest.
Okay, so, but are you able to paint a picture for us, really, how you take the news?
Yes, like I said, I'm feeling, well, it wasn't news to me because last week, the AG had a conversation with Oliver where he did mention the fact that he will be dropping the charges. So it didn't come as news. And of course, the president, when he was still in opposition, on countless occasions did mention the fact that if he became president, he will drop the charges. So I was expecting it. So yeah. So, but it's, of course, I'm still I'm grateful to the AG, to the president as well, for making it happen, but I'm not surprised.
One of the things I think we heard you post was you losing a job because of this case. Is that right? Can you paint a picture for us again, how much this whole case cost you?
Okay, so, the thing is, actually, I was working a remote role and I was being paid 40,000 cedis a month. And of course, if you're in police custody, this is a company that, it's an international company. They don't have the expectations of, when I was in the cell, the problem was my phone. The police had seized my phone. So there was no way for anyone who could get their number to even contact them and say, okay, I'll send an email or whatever while I was in the cell. So by the time I came out, I'd been basically incognito for 17 days. So, I don't know any job where you can just disappear for 17 days and pop back up and say, oh, by the way, I was arrested. And, so I'd lost my job by then because the business had to move on. So, yeah, that's what happened.
Aside from that, how would you say this would help moving forward, really, with the acquittal coming from the state now?
How would move what forward? Sorry.
Moving forward, I mean, you've now been acquitted. The charges have been dropped, so you're walking a free woman. I'm just wondering what kind of impact you anticipate would have on you moving forward.
Well, the thing is, I'm relieved at that, of course, because the fact that I don't have to drive 3 hours to court to go and speak to them, I'm being able to avoid that. Just going to court, going to Makola, it's actually very stressful. Even the drive, sitting in traffic, and it's very stressful. So and now I can travel. And now if I look for another job, because you have court dates and all of that, how do you explain to a new employer that, oh yeah, by the way, there's on such and such day I can't work today because I have to go into court? It just doesn't look good. Do you understand? So I'm relieved that I can close this chapter. Of course, there's going to be forever and ever. There's going to be like psychological marks, emotional marks, financial. Now I've not been working now for 5 months. So it has a cascading effect on your lifestyle in general. So even though it's over, it's not really over, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, but what kind of impact do you think this would have on your activism? Is it going to stop or you're going to intensify moving forward?
The thing is, I'm still very much an activist. I'll forever remain an activist. I was born like that.
People tag you as, particularly those with Democracy Hub, as anti-NPP. Now that government is out of power, what do you make of that perception, and how do you intend to change it if it bothers you at all?
Yeah, I don't speak for the group. I'm speaking for me, and I do support the NDC, so they're not wrong. I do support the NDC. I've been very open about that. And so that's my comments on that. I think that just because you support a political party does not mean that you can't be objective in issues. Because when we're talking about something like Galamsey, what does it matter what your political affiliation is? Is Galamsey, is it destroying our water bodies? Is it true? Is it valid? When things happen, I need people to stop looking at, but what's their political leaning? I want people to ask, if I say anything or I stand up against something, I want people to ask, is what she's saying, is it true? So what I'm saying is destroying our water bodies. Ghana Water Company came out with a statement talking about their inability to clean the water and how they're going to struggle to actually produce water and all of that. So this is a real issue. So when I'm speaking about it and people want to focus on stuff like, who did she vote for? Who is she going to vote for? It's very irrelevant to the topic. We need to focus on what the real issues are, and people need to focus on, if I say anything or people are advocates for something, ask yourself, what they're saying, is it true? Is it valid? And is it something that what they're saying, is it going to be beneficial to Ghanaians at large, as opposed to focusing on what political affiliation people have? That's just me, because there's people within Democracy Hub who are very much who don't support NDC, who are very much, I would say like they don't support any political party, completely apolitical. But it's just that we all together, we always come together to focus on the issues. That's what's brought us together as a group, not our political affiliations.
Thank you so much, Felicity Nelson, for speaking to us.
Thank you.
And you had there Felicity Nelson. She is one of the members of Democracy Hub. And if you're just joining us, the Attorney General has decided to drop all charges against the individuals who were arrested. And I'm sure you remember that they were incarcerated and released as well. Let's speak to private legal practitioner Martin. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Hello? Hello, Mr. Kpebu, can you hear us? Okay, we'll have to... hello?
Yes.
Excellent. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good evening, Beatrice. Evening.
I mean, the Attorney General has finally brought an end to this case that had a lot of Ghanaians talking. As a lawyer, I'm just wondering what your perspective is on the latest move by the AG.
Yes, that's the right thing to do. Stopping the action is the right thing to do because that lawsuit against the Democracy Hub protesters is a nuisance lawsuit. We all knew that most of those things they did were publicity stunts to wake up, to arouse the consciousness of Ghanaians. Yes, because a lot of us were too docile. So sometimes you have to do some of these things to create attention, create the awareness. And from day one, that's what I've been saying, right? Yes, some people may not understand how advocacy works. It's not every time that you just keep shouting, hey, stop doing this wrong thing, stop doing this wrong thing. No, they say actions speak louder than words. So sometimes you engage in publicity stunts, and those help to carry the message far. So the Attorney General has done the right thing by doing the nolle prosequi. Because the NDC in opposition, yes, they gave us a lot of support, whilst we're doing the advocacy that these guys be freed. Because I remember lawyer Idris Afshini. Yeah, Idris Afshini, you remember the demonstrations the year before last year's school. Yeah, he was part of the legal team. We went to the various police stations, etc. Then last year's own, the one that they filed this nolle prosequi. We are on the WhatsApp page, and he was very forceful, giving a lot of support, right? So that's the right thing the Attorney General has done. And you know how today now we are all very conscious, and as a nation, and this Galamsey fight is also partly to blame for the MPP's monumental loss, right? Mm-hmm. And you see how today we've all agreed that no mining in the forest, etc. So these guys, Felicity, Nelson, Oliver, Bakavomawo, and all the other guys, kudos to them. Kudos. Yes, they fought for Ghana.
When they arrested and particularly incarcerated for about 2 weeks, we had a lot of outcry, really, from people that these are people who are going out to tell us that what is happening within our forest and water bodies are not good. I mean, it's not good enough. So do you punish them by incarcerating them for as long as 2 weeks? Do you think that these people, there's a possibility any of them may want to come out to as it were, demand damages for what has happened to them? For instance, Felicity Nelson, she says she lost a job. Or, I mean, let me just leave the question there. What do you think could happen?
Oh, it's always within their power to sue for malicious prosecution. Yes. But as to succeeding, that one, we don't have the resources to do that on radio now. But in law, what you're talking about, if you are wrongly arrested and taken through legal process and you win, whether through nolle prosequi or final judgment, you can sue. It's called malicious prosecution, meaning the person who caused your arrest and prosecution always knew from day one that there was no case against you. Yeah, so that's what the law gives to protect against unnecessary use of power. Will show you where power lies. Yes, that remedy is there in law.
What about the MD, the former MD of SNET, Ernest Thompson, and the others who are with him? Charges against them have been dropped as well. I mean, these were individuals who, some of them confessed that they actually used fraudulent documents to secure the jobs, and now the AG has dropped charges against them. Is that also in a good direction?
Okay, can we be specific that they use fraudulent documents to get the job?
Yes, some of them.
Maybe I should have, these cases, I don't have visibility on them for a while. So
that's all right. But I want to also get your word just briefly before you go on Collins Dowda as well. I'm sure you have followed the Saglemi housing project and how he was also facing the court with some others for causing financial loss to the state.
Yes, so the same thing. Collins Dowda one, maybe we should go back into the archives and look. Because remember, we had said that about $200 million was paid, and the work that was done was not.
Yes, I mean we couldn't inhabit the houses that were built essentially.
Yeah, as for not inhabiting, I will not use that per se to say we didn't get value for money. So I rather want to call upon the current minister to do a value for money audit and let's see what we got, because it helps so that we just know that is it true we didn't get the money, this value for money, or it was just a political witch hunt. So we will call upon the current Minister for Works and Housing to do that. That will help all of us so that we just know. Because the story that is stuck in my mind is that they said that money that was paid, we didn't get value for money. It was, value for our money. So can we know what is the true state of affairs? That will be very helpful. It's good for our democracy. It will also be good for Colin Sauder himself, because that way then he knows that if anybody says, oh, the Nolly Squad was done just because his government came into, his party came into power, he can show that, oh, look at this report. There's a proper report that shows that there was value for money.
But we know that prior to the elections, Kojo Oponkroma, who became the Minister for Housing, has started doing something about it, just so it doesn't completely go waste. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. Yes, but when you ask the technical people, the experts in the field, they can still do it. Because my understanding is that the new contractor has not finished the building. In actual fact, even when the new contractor finishes, based on what he has put in, there can be deductions done. Then it will show what he came to meet. So let's do it. It's something I will encourage any day, so that all of us will be settled in our minds as to whether we lost money or we didn't. It's very important for our democracy.
Mr. Pebu, thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
And you just heard Martin Pigbu. He's a private legal practitioner who was also very passionate, particularly about the Democracy Hub protests and what happened afterwards. Now, work by the 7-member ad hoc committee probing the vetting chaos in Parliament is facing more and more frustration after the MPP minority today announced their decision to recuse themselves from the work of the committee. Minority Leader Alexander Apenyo-Marking and Asante Achim Central MP Kwame Imedu-Entry, who doubles as the Vice Chair of the Ad Hoc Committee, have accused Emmanuel Kwesi-Bedzra of open bias against their side in the opening sittings of the committee's work. This, they say, constitute the basis for a request to the Speaker to reconstitute the membership of the committee. Vice Chair of the Ad Hoc Committee, Imedu-Entry, says members want the membership reconstituted to allow for the matter to be probed and to allow for the cooperation of a side.
On Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, I overheard the Speaker of Parliament explicitly stating that the ad hoc committee should continue to work and submit its recommendations to the House for further deliberation and decision-making. Additionally, we recall the Speaker's firm, decisive directive that the proceedings of the committee should not be conducted in public. The Minority Caucus concurs with this position, recognizing that public hearings in matters like this would compromise the effectiveness and efficiency of the investigative process. I'll give you an example. For instance, on Tuesday when we are sat, all the witnesses were together, and then we'll call them one by one, and each witness would speak to the hearing of all. This is not done, but we needed to do that because it was a public hearing. Because if the person should get to the next office, the person can even look at it on his phone. And we think this is not right. In the light of the foregoing, the Minority Caucus formally rescues itself, and we say that immediately the Speaker must reconstitute this committee by substituting the chairman, removing the chairman, Honorable Emmanuel Bedzra, MP and chair of the ad hoc committee investigating the allegations of disorderly conduct during the vetting of ministerial nominees in the 9th Parliament. This decision is taken by the entire caucus and, amongst other things, will raise the issues of bias, prejudice, witness tampering, and conflict of interest on the part of Honorable Bejra, which fundamentally undermines the credibility of the committee's work.
And you heard the Yumedu Entry, he's vice chair of the ad hoc committee, which has been set up to investigate that chaos that took place in Parliament during the vetting of ministers designate. Well, the allegations, however, have been quickly parried by the chair of the committee. Speaking to the media after the public hearings, Emmanuel Bejra said that the allegations are without basis.
I am surprised because he was here with us. You met him on the first day. You saw him on the first day. So I don't know where that accusation of biasness comes from. So maybe he has to identify where I was biased.
They've written an entire memo to the Speaker asking that you be removed.
I don't know. Speaker will have to admit that memo, but we will continue our work on Monday.
Okay. Chairman, did you invite the witnesses from the minority side of the House?
Everybody has been invited. You quite remember on Wednesday, I even mentioned that one of them was coming until the person sent us a text message that he was not going to come. But yesterday, Honorable Bina was with us at the meeting. We all agreed. And so we're surprised that she wasn't here today.
Chairman, is there non-participation affected today's proceeding?
No, at all. You also what happened. We will continue our work until the Speaker says, otherwise. So we'll continue our work.
Well, Mr. Bejra also directed the clerk of the committee to invite the leadership of the minority at the appointment committee to appear before the committee on Monday.
So, honorable colleagues, we have been able to take witnesses, about 10 out of the 18. We have Honorable Ahin, Honorable Konis Dauda, Honorable Dominic Bigna Adana Nitiwo, Honorable Charles Asiedu, Honorable Patricia J, Honorable Pius Kwame Nkwa, who was just identified by Honorable Minister for Fisheries. These are the honorable members who were supposed to appear before us today, Friday, since it was postponed. And they were not able to make it. We've not had any indication from the clerk as to why they will not be able to attend to this committee. And so we will request respectfully that you invite them in addition to the following members of parliament who are supposed to be here on Monday. Honorable Alexander Peño Makin, Honorable Frank Anodompre, Honorable Roxanne Nelson Eche Kwame Dapamepo, Honorable Jerry Ahmed Shaib, Honorable Alhassan Tampuli Suleimana, Honorable Michael Otribefi, Honorable Rudolph Amaku Jampa, Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, Dr. Fred Che Asamoah, Honorable, and then you add again Mr. George Glory Opeku and Honorable Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa to witness for him. He is to come with his counsel.
And you have Emmanuel Bejra. He is chair of the 7-member ad hoc committee set up by the Speaker of Parliament to probe that chaos on the 30th of January. Well, the minority leader, Alexander Peño-Makin, has since written demanding the recusal of Emmanuel Kwesi Bejra as well, the chairman of the committee, in a memo dated February 7 today and addressed to the Speaker of Parliament. The minority leader accused Mr. Bejra of breach of impartiality and confidentiality, which he claims have compromised the integrity of the committee's work. He wants the recusal of the chairman and the reconstitution of the committee Asante with a new leader who can ensure neutrality and discretion. Apenyo has also requested an audience with the Speaker to discuss the matter further and explore ways to prevent tension from escalating further. You're still here on Hot Edition on Shuri FM 92.7, some 45 minutes past the hour of 5. When we come back, we'll bring you some more, as well as the latest in the world of business. Don't go away.
Hey, ready to make your drive home epic? It's the 3FM Drive with the one and only Giovanni Killen right here on 3FM 92.7. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're transforming your commute into a top-tier experience. Need a pick-me-up? Our music belt is pure energy, pure vibes. Stay ahead with the Drive Sports, bringing you the latest scores and highlights. Curious about the stars? We've got all the hottest trends, celebrity profile interviews, plus DJ faculty has got you.
Ready? Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays on 3FM Drive. You know where it's at.
This is where the action is at, live on the 3FM Drive on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the 3FM Drive. That's right!
Accra, Ghana, Africa, and worldwide. Join us on Inspirational Gospel Mix this and every Sunday, 8 p.m.
I just wanna praise you. I just wanna
What is your favorite scripture?
Well, my favorite scripture is Romans 8:28, and it says, all things work together for the good to them that love the Lord. Kwame, that is absolutely my favorite scripture.
Yes, your Inspirational Gospel Mix, a moment to get inspired with the best of inspirational songs and interviews to get you prepared for the new week on every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. with me, your big brother, Kwame Adu, mixing G, mixing gospel. You can't miss it. You are blessed as you listen. 3FM 92.7.
Hey, ready to make your drive home epic? It's the 3FM Drive with the one and only Giovanni Killen right here on 3FM 92.7. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're transforming your commute into a top-tier experience. Need a pick-me-up? Our music belt is pure energy, pure vibes. Stay ahead with the Drive Sports, bringing you the latest scores and highlights. Curious about the stars? We've got all the hottest trends, celebrity profile interviews, plus DJ faculty has got you.
Ready? Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays on 3FM Drive. You know where it's at.
This is where the action is at, live on the 3FM Drive on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the 3FM Drive. That's right!
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the news, the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority gets new boss as President Mahama appoints Brigadier General Paul Seidu Tanye Kuluno as Acting Director General. I am Safwa Bwahine. Let's settle for the details now. Many thanks for joining us this evening. President John Dramani Mahama has appointed Brigadier General Paul Seidu Tanyakulunu Esquire as the Acting Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. He is a distinguished military officer and legal professional currently serving as the Deputy Commandant of the National College of Defence Studies at Bema Camp, Accra. He holds a Master of Laws in Litigation and Alternative Dispute Resolution from the George Washington School of Law, a Master in Management Studies from Osmania University in India, and a Master of Arts in International Affairs from the University of Ghana. His appointment is expected to strengthen strategic leadership at the GPHA, given his intensive background in military leadership, legal expertise, and international affairs. Moving away from that, former Minister for Foreign Affairs and Special Representative of the UN Secretary General and Head of UNSMIL, Her Excellency Hannah Tete, has advised the government to carefully evaluate the potential benefits and drawbacks before making a critical decision on whether to join BRICS. BRICS, a bloc of major emerging economies, focuses on fostering economic cooperation, political influence, and development among its members, often positioning itself as an alternative to Western-dominated institutions. Speaking to 3 Business, Madam Tete emphasized that any decision regarding Ghana's membership should be guided by the country's strategic interest. This comes as Nigeria recently joined the group, further expanding BRICS' influence on the African continent.
I think it should be looked at.
In what way?
In any situation, when we're considering whether to join an organization or not, we should do a very detailed and thorough analysis of both the opportunities and the risks. And if the opportunities outweigh the risks and there are significant benefits to be derived, then I think it's something that the government should consider seriously. But it should be informed, as I said, by an intensive, clear analysis, so that you understand both the pros and the cons of what you are getting into. Because once you are into it, it's very difficult to extricate yourself from it. So you should be sure that this is really what you want to do.
You spoke very highly of
That was a former Minister for Foreign Affairs and Special Representative of the UN Secretary General and Head of UNSMIL, Her Excellency Hannah Tete there. Moving away from that, the Ministry of Roads and Highways has assured Ghanaians that revenues generated from the reintroduction of road tolls will be dedicated to improving the country's road infrastructure. This follows the ministry's recent announcement to reintroduce road tolls, which were previously suspended. To enhance efficiency and convenience, the ministry plans to implement a modern technology-driven toll collection system aimed at minimizing bottlenecks and ensuring transparency in revenue management. Head of Public Affairs at the ministry, Nasir Ahmad Yati, emphasized that the new system will not disrupt traffic flow, assuring the public that the process is designed to be seamless while contributing significantly to road development projects across the country.
Government has decided or has announced its intention to bring back the toll in order to generate revenue for road maintenance and other related matters concerning road construction in the country. As I speak to you, we've drafted a concept note or a concept paper that will enable us to commence the procurement process. We are looking at having an all-inclusive tolling system in the country that will, one, eliminate congestion at our tolling centers, that will eliminate revenue leakages, and that will eliminate the situation where some road users don't pay toll, but they use the road that we develop, but they don't get to pay tolls. We want to eliminate all those issues. We are looking at a system that will be very technologically driven, very fair, very open, very transparent to all Ghanaians.
You just heard the voice of the Head of Public Affairs at the Ministry, Nasir Ahmad Yate there. That will be all for business news on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. My name is Safwa Boahini. Do have a lovely day. Bye.
every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiampofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
Accra, Ghana, Africa, and worldwide. Join us on Inspirational Gospel Mix this and every Sunday, 8 3F. What is your favorite scripture?
Well, my favorite scripture is Romans 8:28, and it says, all things work together for the good to them that love the Lord. Kwame, that is absolutely my favorite scripture.
Yes, your Inspirational Gospel Mix, a moment to get inspired with the best of inspirational songs and interviews to get you prepared for the new week on every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. with me, your big brother, Kwame Adu, mixing G, mixing gospel. You can't miss it. You are blessed as you listen. 3FM 92.7.
Hey, ready to make your drive home epic? It's the 3FM Drive with the one and only Giovanni Killer right here on 3FM 92.7. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're transforming your commute into a top-tier experience. Need a pick-me-up? Our music belt is pure energy, pure vibes. Stay ahead with the Drive Sports, bringing you the latest scores and highlights. Curious about the stars? We've got all the hottest trends, celebrity profile interviews, plus DJ faculty has got you.
Ready? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays on 3FM Drive. You know where it's at.
This is where the action is at, live on the 3FM Drive on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the 3FM Drive. That's right!
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Lishen. Starting with our first story where the president of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama, has tasked the newly approved sports minister, that is Kofi Adams, to begin his sports reset starting from the Ghana Football Association. Kofi Adams was approved as a sports minister earlier in the week, and the Ghana Football Association is currently dealing with the hooliganism issue that recently caused the loss of life for a famous Asante Kotoko fan, Puli.
The players were ready for it, the fans were ready for it, and we all simply wanted one thing.
We'll give you the details of that later in the bulletin. But let's move on to still Sule Muntari. We have an exclusive with Sule Muntari coming up at 9 p.m. tonight on TV3. And he's been speaking on the current Black Stars players and how they've not been performing, comparing it to how his crop performed very well, especially in the 2010 World Cup, where they reached the quarterfinal of the competition.
I don't know their time now, but our time, it was just the passion. It was the respect that we had for each other, the love that we had for each other. There was no any competition. There was not a big ego whatsoever, right? Yeah. There was not I'm the better one. I'm better than you whatsoever. No. And during our time too, there was like 7 or 8 players that were the team was built around.
Yeah.
So you get what I mean?
Yeah.
There were not changes all the time. There were basically these players that.
This is the course.
Yes. So and then other players come in and then.
Basically, the team rotates around his career. Yes.
That was Sule Muntari there speaking. But moving on to the Ghana Premier League, following a meeting with the club CEOs on Thursday evening, the Ghana Football Association seek to resume the Ghana Premier League in the next 2 weeks. However, the incident which led to the death of Kotoko fan, that is Pole, has dominated the headlines in the last few days. And Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asante-Chum, hinted at how the progress of the league will be negatively affected. Now, he spoke in a yet-to-be-aired exclusive on GPL Express.
It affects our image, as an entity. It also makes things difficult in our quest to secure sponsorship for the competition. Sometimes it even affects the status or the image of our players, because when you have players leaving your competition and the only thing that can be used to describe them is he's coming from a league marred by violence, marred by hooliganism, crowd issues. Sometimes they even talk about they extend it beyond crowd issues, and then it goes to officiating and what have you.
That was Henry Asante-Chum, the Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association. Moving abroad, the FA Cup competition will continue later tonight as Manchester United take on Leicester City in a round of 32 of the competition, seeking a place in the round of 16. Now, among the news has been the exit of Marcus Rashford, who was with Manchester United and has gone to Aston Villa on loan. But head coach Ruben Amorim has stated that he's focusing on the players in his current squad.
In the summer, like we said before, we are fighting for our jobs until the summer. So I'm focused just on these games. Thankfully, about Marcos is in Birmingham now with Unai, so you can take the questions for this month to another coach. We are focused just on our players.
That was Ruben Amorim, the head coach of Manchester United. But also Liverpool will be in action in the FA Cup and they will face Plymouth for a place in the round of 16. And Slot, who recently booked his place in the Carabao final, is stating that he's looking to win trophies this season.
The players were ready for it, the fans were ready for it, and we all simply wanted one thing, and that's going through to the final. We are working very hard every single day to try to improve players, and the players want to improve themselves every single day. But we're also in this business to play finals, although we already know how difficult the final is going to be because we faced Newcastle already, and they were very impressive yesterday as well.
That was Slot, the head coach of Liverpool. Some of the other fixtures in the FA Cup include Aston Villa versus Tottenham, and Antoine Semenyo will be in action as Bournemouth take on Everton as well. These are some of the other fixtures in the competition. Manchester City will take on Leyton Orient. Ipswich will take on Coventry. We have Southampton and Kamaldeen Sulemana, they'll be taking on Burnley, and also Wigan will take on Fulham, and Brighton will take on Chelsea as well. Bringing an end to sports here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen, and of course we have Beatrice and the rest of the crew with a lot more. Stand by.
Hey, ready to make your drive home epic? It's the 3FM Drive with the one and only Giovanni Killen right here on 3FM 92.7. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're transforming your commute into a top-tier experience. Need a pick-me-up? Our music belt is pure energy, pure vibes. Stay ahead with the Drive Sports, bringing you the latest scores and highlights. Curious about the stars? We've got all the hottest trends, celebrity profile interviews, plus DJ faculty has got you.
Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays on 3FM Drive. You know where it's at.
This is where the action is at, live on the 3FM Drive on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the 3FM Drive. That's right!
You're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Thank you very much for joining us and staying with us. Thank you to Safwa Boahini for bringing us the latest in business, as well as Billy Shen with the latest in sports. And let's bring you some more here on Hot Edition. And the special envoy to Libya and head of the United Nations Support Mission in Libya, Hannah Tete, has spoken about the USAID issues and asking government to rather develop measures to internally generate funds for the continent instead of crying foul over the decision of the United States to withdraw funds for that program.
Well, I spoke earlier about the need to make ourselves competitive.
Sunrise on 3
and that means that there has to be a significant mindset shift, moving away from dependency to self-reliance.
Right.
And focusing on how we make ourselves competitive. And I mean, there are lessons to be learned from Singapore, from Lee Kuan Yew. If you look at the Singapore that he took over, and especially when Singapore was thrown out of Malaysia, and nobody gave them, a really serious thought about succeeding. And you think of the Singapore that he built, but he didn't build it on his own. One of the things that I find interesting about him is that he managed to get the people of Singapore to believe in his vision.
Okay.
And they worked with him to achieve it. And he would explain in very clear terms what government was doing, why it was doing it, why he felt that the people of Singapore needed to come on board, and what everybody's contribution to that process should be. The more that you read about him, you realize that this was a leader who understood his country's dependencies, but was focused on getting to self-reliance as quickly as possible.
And you had the special envoy to Libya and head of the United Nations Support Mission in Libya, Hannah Tete. She's also a former foreign affairs minister under the NDC's first administration. Let's engage the president of the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network, Ernest Oting, on the matter of the USAID support suspension. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
I want to first find out from you whether your side has calculated really the implications for Ghana and your members.
Yes, certainly. We know that placed a request for up to $138 million for this year from the USAID or the US government in general, who, with that funding now in limbo, is going to have a very bad effect on us as a country.
Bad effect. Are you able to enumerate the examples for us?
Okay, so I'll give you an example in the area of HIV and AIDS. If you look at our programming as a country, we have interventions in 3 regions that are sponsored by the USAID: Western Region, Western North, and Ahafo. These 3 regions, all the HIV interventions that we implement there are sponsored by the USAID or the US government through their PEPFAR initiative. So with this particular recall, it's going to affect our programming in the 3 regions. That is one leg of the issue. The other issue is that the USAID also helps us with the cutting of health commodities from the central medical stores to the regional medical stores and then to the health centers across the country. So up to the lowest level, up to the CHIPS compound, up to the health centers, the polyclinics, and then the hospitals. So with this particular freeze that we have now, it's going to impact us negatively. We could have a situation where antiretroviral medications will be available at the central medical store or regional medical store, but we would have challenges taking them to the various health centers because the company that was being sponsored by the USAID is no longer at post. So these are some of the immediate challenges that we face as a country when it comes to HIV and AIDS.
The company is no longer at post because perhaps that company was paid by the USAID.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly so.
We've heard, I don't know whether you had the opportunity to hear the former Foreign Affairs Minister, who is the UN Special Envoy to Libya, saying that perhaps it is time for us to, as it were, put in measures that would make us self-sufficient. From where you sit, what kind of measures do you think may be needed to help in the short to medium term way of dealing with the problem?
Okay, yes, very much so. I heard her and I 100% agree with her. So my solution will be this. In the year 2001, African countries made a declaration known as the Abuja Declaration. In that declaration, African countries committed themselves to spending 50% of their national budget on health. So I would say that we need to go back to that declaration so that with regard to health, we'll be able to at least commit about 50% of our national budget. And thankfully, we are going to have the budget read to us sometime next month. So this is a perfect moment in time to ensure that we will commit more resources to our health sector. Quite specifically on HIV and AIDS, I would say that there are 2 things we need to do. One, we need to establish the National HIV and AIDS Fund. This is a process which the current administration started in 2016. Under the immediate past government, the whole process stalled. And unfortunately, we could not get that fund see the light of day. So I would make an appeal to the government to ensure that that National HIV and AIDS Fund will be established so that we will domestically generate resources for the fight against HIV. And then the final one is that I would say that we need to start local production of antiretroviral medications. The capacity really exists in this country. Some companies have done it in the past. So we need to revisit the whole discussion of we producing antiretroviral drugs in this country so that we don't have to depend on other donors for these health medications. So I would say that, yes, we need to go back to the Abuja Declaration. We need to establish a National HIV and AIDS Fund, and we need to start local production of ARVs in this country.
Thank you very much, Ms. Otain, for speaking to us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And you just heard there Ernest Oting, he's president of the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. And we stay on health because in a move to improve the management and early detection of meningitis cases in the Upper West region, the Ghana Health Service has announced the immediate waiver of treatment costs for non-insured patients seeking care for the disease. The decision follows growing concerns about the rising incidence of meningitis and an alarming increase in fatality rate in the region. On Thursday in Parliament, the Speaker directed the Ghana Health Service to take immediate steps towards dealing with the spread of the disease. Here is the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Bernard Ahiafo.
The Ministry of Health is to take immediate action to create awareness, conduct contact tracing, intensify the provision of medical care to the affected victim, and consider the establishment of the Public Health Emergency Fund.
And you have the Bernard Ahiafo, he is the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Well, a statement signed by the Acting Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Samuel Kaba Akrofi, said that the service has waived the cost for non-insured patients diagnosed with meningitis at all public health facilities in that region. Now, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has called on the Minister of Education, Haruna Iddrisu, to ensure that the 20% deprived allowance, as announced by President Mahama, is captured and implemented next month. The 20% deprived area allowance has been in the document of the teachers for the past 15 years. Several meetings and negotiations between government and the pre-tertiary teacher unions have failed to yield results for its implementation. On Thursday, February 6, President John Mahama assured the teachers that the 20% will be implemented. General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa Tanku, spoke exclusively with our Labour Affairs correspondent, Daniel Opoku, in Accra.
We also plan to provide a 20% allowance on top of basic salary for teachers and health workers who accept postings to rural areas. We want to encourage more of our education and health personnel to accept to serve in rural communities and therefore bridge the developmental gap.
And you had that President Mahama. Well, barely 48 hours after the announcement, NAT has lauded President Mahama for his commitment to get this implemented. General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa Tanko, also appealed to the Minister of Education to ensure that it is captured in the next month's budget. And still on social issues, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Angela Namomolati, says within 120 days, she would work with all civil society organizations, CSOs, to help ensure that persons with disability have access to free education at the tertiary level. Dr. Angela Namomolati met CSOs committed to gender equality and diversity to leverage strategies that will drive the gender transformation agenda in Ghana. Nana Oforiwa Dako has the following report.
Among the priority areas of President John Dramani Mahama's 120 days is gender transformation change at all levels. At a stakeholder engagement with civil society organizations, CSOs, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Angela Namomolati, underscored the need to gain insight from partners of the Gender Ministry to execute all tasks expected to be accomplished soon.
One of the things which I hope the priority areas is just the priority areas of His Excellency 120 days, and that is one of them is the decentralization of the school feeding program, also ensuring that persons with disability get their free tertiary education. So I'm collaborating with the Ministry of Education to get it done. I'm in talks with the minister, and it's positive so far.
Ghana is one of the few countries championing the advancement of gender interventions in the Western Central African region, according to a report by the World Bank. However, many gaps persist, especially for women and children. In an interview with TV3 News, the executive director of ARC Foundation, Dr. Angela Dramina Boaji, noted that policy coordination and cohesion should be utilized well within the gender space to make a change.
We'll actually go into the pool of resources and then use them. They're doing the implementation. We'll have the support of the ministry to do the oversight role or play the oversight role appropriately and then effectively.
While commending CSOs and women groups for their roles in gender activism, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Angela Namomolate, said a resource mapping will be done to help implement projects. Ghana's national gender policy was developed in 2015 in response to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
Akrofi confirmed that report. To the northern parts of the country, and some youth groups in Tamale have expressed disappointment in the executives of the National Democratic Congress in the northern region for undermining the integrity of the vetting process of metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives. They say that the final list submitted to the local government minister as qualified candidates for the position of MMDCEs for Tamale Assembly will not work for the interest of the party. They are demanding the local government minister to conduct fresh vetting of MMDCE aspirant for the Tamale Metropolis. Christopher Marco is a man in that part of the country. He's been following the story. He joins us live on the line. Chris, what reasons did they give as, the reasons why they are disagreeing with the vetting process?
Yes, so Beatrice, what happened is that for these residents of the Greater Tamale Metropolis, they believe that the executives that were selected to vet the MMDC aspirants did not do a good job because they all had interest. And so the right people who would have represented the Metropolitan Assembly or whose names would have been sent to the local government ministry, of which one of them will be selected to be the mayor of Tamale. The three names that have been submitted are not qualified according to them because they believe that these are not people who were seen in the 2024 campaign trail seriously campaigning for the party, and so they did little to see the party come to power. So they think that such people will not be open to the public, especially members of the party, to come to them and lay their grievances to them. And so they believe that they are not qualified. They want the local government minister to conduct fresh vetting for all the aspirants who had submitted their applications to for appointment as MMDC.
Okay, but we also understand that similar concerns have been raised by some constituents in districts in the Savannah region. What more information do you have on that?
Yeah, so if you go to the East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region, similar concerns have been raised by the people, especially NDC members. You go to Northeast Gonja, you go to West Gonja, and you go to the Solatuna Kalba district. Similar concerns have been raised. These people are also saying that the vetting processes did not go well because the people that the vetting committee selected do not represent the interest of the party especially, and so they will not be able to work with them when any of them is given the opportunity. And so they believe that there were some personal interests that went into the vetting, and so they will not allow any of them to come and lead them. So they want the local government ministry to look into the matter and ensure that the right things are done.
Chris, I'm moving you to another issue precisely in Salaga, where we understand that 3 students of the senior high school there who are arrested in possession of a firearm have been granted bail by a magistrate court there. Are you able to tell us more about it, particularly regarding the charges?
Yes, so the 3 were denied bail initially when they were arrested with some 17 others. And so today the Salaga District Police took them to court. The court granted them bail, and they were charged with unlawful possession of firearms. And so as it stands now, they are to reappear in court on February 24. But another event that took place before the court processes today has to do with the fact that parents of the 3 suspects besieged the Salaga Senior High School and pelted stones at the teachers. This led to the beating of a student to pulp who was unconscious and was rushed to the Salaga government hospital. So as we speak, the 3 have been granted bail in court, and they actually pleaded guilty of the charges that were against them. And so, as it stands, some relative calm has been restored in the school because the overlord of the area, Kwembiura Bambange, and the 4th had spoken to authorities of the school not to close down the school, but to allow the law to take its course on the perpetrators of that act.
Christopher Marco, thank you so much for bringing us these details. And you just heard that right there, Christopher Marco. He's our Northern Region correspondent. And that's it for the Nation on Hot Edition 3. That's it for Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice. Thank you so much for joining us today. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Have a good evening.